name is Mutawashim Baiwa. I'm a lecturer in the Management, Accounting and Finance. I am also part of the Project Integritas team members, and today we are going to discuss with you phase 1 of Project Integritas, which is the African Sun Limited Company Overview and Business Model. So the objectives of this video is to discuss the African Sun Company Overview and Business Model expectations. So under a company overview and a business model, what were you supposed to document in terms of the guidelines and expectations? We are going to be discussing that in this video. And we are also going to discuss the common pitfalls from submitted reports. So as we are discussing, you've submitted your phase 1 reports for your African Sun Company Overview and Business Model. The team went through and reviewed your reports, and we noted some of the common errors or pitfalls that we are going to be discussing as part of this video, so that going forward you are able to correct your errors and move on to the next phase, which is strategy and risk. Now, I'll first of all discuss the company overview. So your task is you're going to be presenting to a potential investor who wants to invest in African Sun. So as a potential investor, I have no idea what African Sun is. Maybe I was informed by my colleague or by my friend or by family that there's a company that is known as African Sun, but I would want to understand further information since I'm a potential investor. So as part of that task, you were supposed to document a company overview as well as the business model. So as a potential investor, I would want to understand what the company does in general. What does African Sun do? Where did it come from in terms of its history? What are its sources of revenue? Where are they located, and so on. So for this part of the company overview of African Sun, to have a proper detail or to have fully documented what you're supposed to write, you were supposed to have used the integrated reporting framework. So if you go to the integrated reporting framework, it specifically details what is supposed to be documented under a company overview. So I'm not going to be discussing all of the items as the list is very long, but I've specifically picked some items that you were supposed to document under a company overview. A typical example is the company history. How did African Sun start off? When was it incorporated? How did it progress from when it was incorporated to 2019 as of today? That is what we're supposed to document in a company history. As a potential investor, I would also want to know the legal structure and ownership structure. So in terms of the legal structure, is it a group entity? Is it a public listed company? Is it a private listed company? Is it a partnership? If it is a group, how many subsidiaries does it have? How many associates does it have? And I would also want to know the ownership structure. Who are the owners of African Sun in their percentage shareholding? I would also want to know under a company overview, African Sun has many hotels, is casinos. Where are these hotels and casinos located? And what are some of the facilities that these hotels offer? And last but not least, I would definitely want to know the mission statement. I would want to know African Sun's vision, I would want to know its mission, and I would want to know its core values and beliefs. So these are some of the items that you should have documented under a company overview. I'll now move on to the business model. So all of this company overview, this business model, we are putting ourselves in the shoes of the potential investor. What sort of information would I want to know about this company? That's where I document my company overview. Moving on to the business model. A business model describes how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value in an economic, social, cultural, or other context. So in theory and practice, the term business models is used for a broad range of informal and formal descriptions to represent core aspects of a business, including its purpose, business processes, target customers, offerings, strategies, infrastructure, organizational structures, and as well as trading practices. So the process of business model construction and modification is also known as business model innovation, and it forms part of a business strategy. So this part of phase one, where we are documenting the business model, is very crucial as we move on to phase two of strategy and risk. For us to be able to formulate African Sun's strategy, when they captured African Sun's strategy, they definitely made use of the business model. Now, guidance on what you're supposed to document under the business model, you're going to get it again from the integrated reporting framework. So if I go to the integrated reporting framework, the major aspects coming through are that under a business model, I'm supposed to document inputs. So under inputs, that's where I document the 6 capitals that I input into my business, and I process them to obtain an output or outcome. So under inputs, that's where we talk about the 6 capitals, which are your manufactured capital, your financial capital, your human capital, social and relationships capital, intellectual capital, and last but not least, the natural capitals. So I've invested all of these capitals. Next, these capitals are going to be processed into what are known as business processes. These are the strategies or the ways or the manners in which I'm now implementing my capitals towards obtaining or creating value, like I highlighted earlier. And last but not least, if I input these capitals and they are processed, that is, if I use these capitals to generate value, I'm supposed to obtain an output or an outcome. So from the human capital that I invested, this human capital was able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things is the process. And from the human capital, the following outcomes were obtained. So this was what you were supposed to document under your business model. So for further guidance, I've highlighted that please go back to the integrated reporting framework. So the integrated reporting framework was a crucial tool in you formulating the company overview and business model. Of course, you obtained information from your research. You went through your research, you researched on the history, you researched on what operations do they have, how many hotels do they have. But for you to document it in a proper manner, the integrated reporting framework was going to be an essential tool, or as a checklist to make sure you've documented everything under business model, you've recorded what you're supposed to record under a company overview. I'll move on to the next objective, which is the common pitfalls that we noted from when we reviewed your reports. So some of the common errors included the inclusion of strategy. Phase 2 of Project Integritas is where you're going to be discussing strategy and risk in full detail. So inclusion of strategy at this point in time was not necessary. Another error would be the inclusion of the chairman's message. So yes, the chairman, the message within the message from the chairman was important, but not explicitly include the full message. Some even including his name and his signature and so on. So all you needed was to take or to extract relevant information from the company, from the chairman's message, and fit it either under company overview or either under a business model. The other error or pitfall that we noted was the use of too much information or inclusion of very little information. An example could be, I would have, amongst the reports that we reviewed, some even went to about a page or 1.5 pages explicitly explaining about African Sun's corporate social responsibility. Yes, it is important as a potential investor that I know that African Sun is looking out for the community and it is works of charity recorded under corporate social responsibility, but the information there was too much. And as I move on, for example, under the business model, a group could have only highlighted just or maybe a line or 2 lines under inputs or under business processes, which was very little information. Now, guidance on how much information do I write 3 pages, do I write 10 pages, or do I write 2 lines or 2 paragraphs? This information, if you visit again your integrated reporting framework, under the guiding elements of an integrated report, it specifically tells you what are you supposed to document in terms of the conciseness of the report. How short or how long should it be? Another common error was the copy and paste of information from the annual report. We understand most of the information that you documented in your phase 1, you extracted it from the annual reports or maybe visited their websites and you downloaded information from there. So it was simply a copy and paste of information. So items, for example, the mission statement of African Sun, I would have easily obtained it, and it is not necessarily copy and paste of information, but other sections you could tell that there was copy and paste of information, that is word for word of whatever information that you used. So in line with this, as the project Integritas team, some feedback is going to be given on how we were supposed to use information, because I understand there was a bit of confusion, because from your view or from the student's view, information you were writing from the report as the finance team of African Sun. So from your understanding, it wasn't really necessary to document references, but now the purpose of Project Integritas is for you to learn. So a common consensus is going to be communicated for the benefits of students, so that going forward you know whether you're supposed to reference such information and so on. So the team is going to get back to you, so please look out when you receive your weekly bulletins on Project Integritas, as such information will be documented. And last but not least, the use of outdated information. So I understand when you're documenting the company history, I can go back to as far as 1970 something and so on. But for purposes of Project Integritas, you're supposed to use the most recent information, that is the 2018 financials in the annual report. If you didn't manage to access these annual reports, the latest would be the 2017. But some of the reports that we reviewed did reports as far back as used results and analysis from as far back as 2014, 2015, which was kind of outdated for the purposes of Project Integritas. So thank you for going through this lecture. So we'll see you when we are doing another video for phase 2 of Project Integritas.